Welcome to another episode of Chad Sports Talk. You know, my name's Chad. I'm taking a dive on all sports. And welcome to this week 15 NFL pick game preview video. That's right, it's a full slate of NFL action. We have games Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. No more buys. This is the final 4 weeks, the final push to get into the playoffs. See who's going, stocks going to rise, who's going to actually join the rest of the bottom feeders. And the bottom of the league, they've already been eliminated from postseason. That's right, Detroit, Jacksonville, Houston, and the Jets. All just planning for next year and already looking at this year's draft class. But before we dive right into that one, let's go ahead and kind of go over a few things. If you could, just go ahead and smash that thumbs up for me, especially if you like this content. It really helps the algorithms out, helps promote this channel. You can also subscribe. I've reviewed my analytics. I have a lot of you guys reviewing my work, and I love you all for doing that. But not many of you subscribe. It doesn't cost you a dime. It actually helps me provide more value to you for entertainment purposes, and hopefully I bring a sense of entertainment and some other commentary to the NFL action. Now, let's go ahead and I'll do a quick little review last week. I actually did pretty good. I went 9-5 last week, so hopefully my string of losing those 7-game pluses has finally ended. I've done 2 weeks now where I haven't done that, so let's see if I continue that streak. But on a more serious note, there's 2 other bits of news I really have to address. And one deals with the current surge of positive results from NFL players. Since Monday, there's now been over 100 documented positive tests. And quite a few teams have really been hit hard by these tests. It include Cleveland, who now has 11, plus the head coach. This includes Baker, Landry, Johnson, the prime safety, a couple of key linemen, a pair of tight ends. Washington has 17. The Rams have 13. And some of those positive cases came after their Monday night showdown with the Cardinals. Chicago, Houston, and the Giants have all have 5. The Vikings have 7, and Miami 4. As of right now, there's no plans for the NFL to do any type of rescheduling games as of yet. Cleveland does have a game this Saturday, which some players could make it in time. But as of right now, they don't plan on doing anything about that. Pretty much, if you remember last year, Denver had it where all their quarterbacks were out. So they had to go to an emergency quarterback. He used to be a receiver, and then he just got decimated. I'm sure there's going to be more things coming along because I know NHL kind of a couple of their clubs have a few issues as well, and they're able to reschedule some of those games. And I know Toronto and Ottawa have limited the fan capacity in their arenas due to the rising cases up in Canada as well. So right now, I don't see that happening with the NFL, but things could change, and this is a very fluid predicament we're currently in. Just for everyone who's watching and listening, just be safe, protect yourself the best you can, and we'll just get there in the end. Yeah, but like I said, right now, there's a few teams in the NFL that has gone to advanced protocol measures, limited the contact in facility, gone virtually to help mitigate further interaction between players and possible more positive tests. So like I said, we'll see how things go. Right now, the NFL is planning on postponing the games, and Cleveland and Raiders are probably still a go for Saturday. I don't know. They may do a later kickoff. Who knows? That could be a possibility to switch the time frames with those two, but highly doubt that one as well. So we'll kind of see how that goes. And other news that actually happened, pretty much found out before I started recording this one. The Urban Meyer experiment has officially ended in Jacksonville. After 13 games, Khan has had enough of Meyer's antics, and has fired him from the head coaching duties. The offensive coordinator Bevel will now be the interim head coach for the rest of the season, as Jacksonville now has to go through and start going the whole process all over again to try to find a head coach. And at least they have the shiny new toy Trevor Lawerence to kind of entice a head coach, probably one that's a very offensive-minded. Bellamy from Kansas City, ring a bell. But and as we all know, Urban Meyer's antics has been pretty rampant. He's had issues in college, but they overlooked that because he's a 3-time national champion, so they kind of look over the stuff he did in college. Especially had those players arrested when he was at Florida. Then he had that incident in Ohio State with one of his assistants. And, Urban Meyer made some questionable decisions being there. Bring in the athletical coordinator, or I forget what his terminology was, from Iowa, who was... I like to use a racial terminology, so they had to let him go, bringing in Tim Tebow for a tryout for a tight end, a position he has never played. He didn't last long, but still, the fact that he brought him in here, brought him into Jacksonville. I don't know, part just because he has a relationship with him from Florida, so that's probably why. And he had the incident after the game in Cincinnati where he stayed behind as the rest of the team flew back, which pretty much breaks an unwritten protocol for team travel. It's like everyone leaves, but if you want to go back to a particular city, you have to do it on your own dime. And then he had that unflattering video of him groping another woman that's not his wife in a particular position. And then that kind of died off, and then things started to leak out from that organization. It's pretty much saying that Urban Meyer was saying that I'm a winner. This is to pretty much his staff and his players, that I'm a winner. You guys are losers. Everywhere I go, I win. It's not my fault we're losing. It's your guys' fault. And I think what actually broke Khan's back was the fact that the former kicker for the Jaguars at Lambeau has pretty much came out and said, hey, he actually kicked me while we're, out there on the practice field. And with that, and then his antics at the end of the Tennessee game where he just looked distraught. He didn't want to be there anymore. You saw on his face. He just weakly showed no sportsmanship to variable whatsoever in the head coach's handshake at the end of the game. He just didn't want to be there. And it was just a bad situation all in all. And he got, Khan decided to, just cut his losses and got rid of him. Now, you also got to think he's also guaranteed. He signed a 5-year contract, and he's kind of guaranteed all the money. So there's a lot of things floating out there, especially on Twitter, about this particular thing. One of the things that Urban Meyer pretty much said he had a better coaching staff at Bowling Green, and you guys are flipping terrible. That's not them. That's you, Urban. You hired the staff. That's your staff. So saying they're bad, that means you're bad. And then Ryan Clark, he actually did a really good one. With all that Urban Meyer did and all the leaks, this thing near seems like a diabolical plan to get some money and force your way out of a situation. It was awful, and you have to be intentional about being this trash. Now, that may not be a true, accurate. Maybe he was this trash. He just one of these things that college Head coaches don't last very long. Nick Saban didn't last very long. Spurrier, another big one. Chip Kelly, I think, is probably the most successful of the college coaches. Didn't last long in the NFL. Lou Holtz didn't last long. Patino. There's a long list of college coaches that never made a successful jump from college to pro. And it's just a different animal. You're looking at dealing with 18, 19, up to 24-year-olds in college. You treat them a little differently than you can, your 24, 34-year-old players. This is their career. So there's a different mindset. You can't, treat them the exact same way you do with a college kid. So that's part of it. Sometimes the college game doesn't really translate very well. Kingsbury right now seems to be the exception to the rule out there in Arizona, but we'll see how long that lasts. So, with me getting on soapbox about those two big issues, let's go ahead and do a quick recap of some of these games coming up on Thursday. We got the Chiefs and Chargers. Eckler right now is a questionable for the running back for the Chargers to show up, and the Chiefs are be down their big defensive lineman. He'll be out for the game due to protocol issues. And this is a rematch from what happened earlier in the year when the Chargers went to Kansas City and shocked the Chiefs. But the Chiefs have been playing extremely well these past few weeks. The defense has really stepped up. And I know missing that key defensive lineman may hamper Kansas City's pressuring of Herbert. But I really think that this is going to be Kansas City's thing, and right now everything's pushing towards them. Mahomes does extremely well on the road against division opponents, so I don't see any issues here per se. I think this is going to be a really, really close game. Right now the line's 3 points to Kansas City's favor. It's going to be that close, probably be even closer. But yeah, I'm going to go with Kansas City on that one. Then Saturday, we got the Raiders and Browns coming up, despite the Browns missing a portion of their team. And then, so you got Case Keenum's going to be probably starting. He's already filled in once already for Baker, did extremely well. Stefanski's won't be head coach, so I don't think it's going to be a big issue for the coaching staff. The Cleveland's front is going to be still intact. It's just their secondary right now is kind of depleted. The Browns' offensive line is going to be a little weak. Maybe missing tight ends, key receiver. So there's like a lot of moving parts right now with Cleveland that could not be there. Because initially I did pick Cleveland in this matchup because right now the Raiders are just a hot mess, but discombobulated. They're not cohesive enough right now, so I'm just not jiving. Possibly cutting their two receivers. One probably going to prison due to a off the field incident. Another one just being really dumb and with his antics, and then losing their head coach because of past email traffic. And this team hasn't really gotten over that hurdle to try to wreck their ship and go the right direction. But I think just too many things will be messy in Cleveland, and I have now decided to go with the Raiders in this one. Right now they're favored by 1. I think it's going to be that close, but yeah, Raiders. And then the matinee on Saturday night is the Patriots will take on the Colts, a huge matchup between these two franchises right now. Indianapolis is one of these teams on the rise, doing extremely well. Carson Wentz is actually performing extremely well. He's almost up to 3,000 yards passing. The focus is going to be on Taylor. If Taylor can run against this New England defense, it should cause problems for New England. And I think the Colts defense will give the Mac Daddy, the Mac and Cheese, Mac Jones, some issues as well. And right now, Indianapolis is favored by 2.5, and I think it's gonna be that close as well. And I'm going with Indianapolis. Sunday, you get the Carolina Panthers heading up to Western New York to take on the Bills. The Carolina Panthers is just in a disarray. There's a total mess. Josh Allen almost pulled off a huge comeback win in Tampa. And they look pretty good. And Carolina has no rushing attack, so they don't have to worry about that for the defensive wise. And it's going to be Buffalo. And the Cardinals are licking their wounds. They can't defend their home nest, but they do extremely well on the road, which really makes no sense. And they'll take on the Motor City Kitties. It's just, another franchise. It's just right now this year is just a bad year for them. And yeah, this is going to be I'm going to take Arizona to get back on track. It's going to be a struggle a bit because DeAndre Hopkins is gone for the year. And Murray and AJ Green's chemistry is not in sync. There's been a lot of miscues. Most notably earlier in the season against Green Bay, where AJ Green didn't even turn around for the ball. And you saw it last week too against the Rams. He goes in, the ball goes out. I mean, it was just, they're not on the same page. And they really need to get that going. Zach Ertz is probably going to be a bigger factor for Murray. The passing attack, and Connor is a breath of fresh air in that Arizona running attack. So I think the Cardinals get back on track regardless of Hopkins not being there, and the Cardinals will beat Detroit. And they get the Jets heading down to Miami. The Jets are just another one of these teams. It's just, I don't know what's the issue with them. Zach Wilson's a very comparable quarterback, but he's going to take on Tua and his former favorite receiver from Alabama, Waddle. And I think it's going to be nothing but Miami down there in Hard Rock Stadium. Right now they're favored by 10, and I think it's going to be exactly that. Then the Cowboys will take their trip over to MetLife to take on their division rival Giants. Last time they faced off, Dak tried to give the Giants a lot, but the defense stepped up. Dak has not been performing well these past few weeks. He's done just enough offensively to move on, but he's made some questionable decision-making since coming back from a calf injury. And the rushing attack has not really been there, so I don't know if it's just the offensive scheme or Dak's just not feeling it, or Zeke's not feeling it. It just something's not really, the offense is not humming along perfectly. It needs a tune-up, basically. But it's going to be no issue. And they're playing the Giants. So it should be treated as a tune-up game for the Cowboys. The defense should be on point, led by Michael Parsons, the defensive stud, the defensive rookie of the year, possibly defensive player of the year. Bonds Garrett's in that conversation as well. But yeah, it's going to be the Cowboys defense is going to, take down the Giants, and it's going to be Dallas winning. Then you got Washington heading to Philadelphia. Washington's trying to rebound from their disappointing comeback try against Dallas. But the Eagles have found a rare gem that people have kind of forgotten. And with Hurts being possibly out again, Minshew has been there. Minshew came back and led that impressive victory last week. We all remember him for that year in Jacksonville where he was just, the dominating force with that powerful mustache he has. And I just think there's a lot of good things between these two franchises that the sky's the limit really for them in the future. Right now they're trying to see who's going to get that last playoff position, I think. That's probably the only thing's going to be really up in the air. So I think the two of the other three wild cards are going to be locked up with the Rams and 49ers. So that last playoff position is going to be really, really key. And Washington and Philadelphia are in the middle of that race. And with it being at home, right now the line is 7 towards the Eagles. It's going to be closer than that. It's going to be at least 3. So I will definitely bring that one down lower. But, I do think the Eagles will beat Washington. Then you got the Tennessee Titans visiting Pittsburgh to take on Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers. And with some of the antics that happened this past week with Claypool in Minnesota, maybe some teammates talk some sense into him, so maybe he doesn't pull off too many of those antics. And Ben's just been a very good quarterback in the fourth quarter. He likes to make the comeback. Tennessee has also not been very, very good. They only put up 20 points against Jacksonville in their shutout victory. And it's just, without that rushing attack they used to have with the King Henry, things are just not the same with Tennessee. But they do their best. They have a nice defensive front as well. So it's going to be causing issues with Roethlisberger and Harris. T.J. Watt may or may not be available as well. So I will take Tennessee in this one. Right now they're favored by 1, and yeah, it's going to be that close, but I'll go with Tennessee. Then you got Houston visiting the aforementioned Jaguars. Two teams that are 2-11. Huge dumpster fire both these franchises right now. We already know the Jaguars are already out there. Houston still has their issue with Deshaun Watson. And with this being all said, I think that this one right now Jacksonville's favored by 5. But I'm gonna buck the trend, and even though the Jaguars have Jensen, their toxic head coach. You still have that stigma. Houston's defense still a very decent defense. And I think Lovie Smith will have a game plan to disrupt Trevor Lawrence to make him turn over a lot in this game. And I'm going to go with Texans beating the Jaguars. The Bengals then going to Mile High, take on the Broncos. Both these teams are a mixture of emotions, really. I think Cincinnati should be better than what the record states, especially when you got Joe Burrow, Mixon, and Chase at your big three in the offense. But the offensive line has really protect Burrow they protect him better this year than they did the previous year. So there's an upgrade there. But Burrow still spends a lot of time trying to escape, getting sacks, fumbling the ball, rushing passes, which causes turnovers as well. And Denver seems to be a better defense without Von Miller. Strange as that is, but you do have Bridgewater as a quarterback. Cincinnati defense is about better than that right now, but Denver's also flying high, trying to get their season in the right direction and try to make a playoff push themselves. Right now, Denver's favored by 2.5, but I'm going to buck the trend, and I'm taking Cincinnati in this one. Then you got Atlanta visiting San Francisco, and right now San Francisco is starting to click and starting to perform what they need to do. The defense is done will be in Matt Ryan's face a lot, and San Francisco fair about 9.5. I think they at least win by 7, but yeah, Niners will beat the Falcons. Seahawks and Rams. Rams announced themselves last week going to Arizona and beating the Cardinals in State Farm. They were in Glendale, and they came back. This is enough time for some of their players to come back. Like I said, they do have 13 on the list. But a lot of these players could come back to play in this game. So, I can see that. But Stafford and Kupp are not on that list. So you still have those two together. And that defense is still, up there as well. They played last week without Jalen Ramsey and just stifled Arizona. They'll do the same thing against Seattle. And right now, the Rams are favored by 4.5. I think it should be a little bit higher than that, but definitely the Rams over the Seahawks. And the Packers will visit Baltimore, take on the Ravens. Right now, Lamar Jackson is still questionable about playing this game due to this ankle injury. They're hoping he's going to play. I wish they don't force it because he's done a lot already for this team this year, and he's had some questionable performances the past few weeks. But Green Bay is one of these defenses you can't not count out. They're actually a very good defensive squad, and you got Aaron Rodgers. Regardless of what defense he plays, he does extremely well. And right now, Green Bay's favored by 5.5. I think it's going to be a little closer than that one, but yeah, definitely Green Bay wins in Baltimore. And then the Saints will take on the Buccaneers on the matinee match on Sunday night. This is a team that Tom Brady and the Buccaneers seem to struggle with constantly. It doesn't matter. Same thing last year in the Super Bowl run. They had a hard time against the Saints. They've already lost to the Saints already this year. And with the Saints, with Kamara back and Taysom Hill's actually doing extremely well. Now having Tom is going to be kind of a key thing, and the defense, like I said, that defense is like a Jekyll and Hyde. Not sure which version is going to show up. It's just too many weapons with Tampa Bay, but I'm going with the history of the Saints always seem to step up to play Tampa Bay extremely well, and I'm going to go with it again. Right now, Tampa Bay's favored by 11. It's going to be closer than that. So I'm taking the Saints in this one. Mainly, if I was going to do it, it's going to be for the points. But I don't know. Every time I go against Tom Brady, he smacks me around, lets me know he's the GOAT. So I'm just a glutton for punishment on this one. And then you got the Vikings visiting Chicago on Monday night. A huge matchup in the NFC North, pretty much to put the Bears season on the line. Because they kind of need to win this one to kind of stay in the hunt. And with this one, Dalvin Cook put on a show last week against Pittsburgh with over 200 yards rushing. And with the interior line of Chicago kind of decimated with injuries, he could do the exact same thing again. But I have a feeling that Chicago will play extremely well against Minnesota. Right now, the Vikings are favored by 3.5. But I would... I see why, because you got Dalvin Cook back, Cousins and Jefferson are a great duo right now in the NFC North, much like Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Another great duo. But I have a feeling that Chicago's going to come up and try to do some things, and switch some things up, and challenge Minnesota. Right now, the Bears have 5 players on the list, and I'm trying to find out. I know Minnesota's got 7 as well. But these players, most of them should be able to clear and be able to play on Monday night. So, but once again, I'm going against the spread or the line. Yes, it's 3.5 for Minnesota, and I'm going to take Chicago to get that victory. Well, there we go. Those are my picks. Like I said, last week we went 9-5. Me and my son actually tied. That's because a lot of we picked like the same games, and the ones we split those games. So this week we probably won't be a tie because there's a lot of splits this time around. I think we only have now 5 games that we picked the same. I think it was 6, but when I changed that Cleveland pick to the Vegas Raiders, we'll kind of see. So definitely going to be an interesting weekend, a long, prosperous weekend. There's going to be a lot of huge matchups going on. I mean, that Sunday night matchup with the Saints and Bucks, Packers, Ravens. Those late games on Sunday are going to have a lot of implications. Same with that Washington-Philadelphia showdown early. That New England Indianapolis game Saturday night is going to be huge, and tonight's game with Chiefs and Chargers is another huge one. So a lot of key matchups to find out who's going to be getting in, who's in, who's out, who's got home field advantage. Because right now that is New England and Green Bay. So let's see if both of those teams can continue, but only time will tell. So enjoy this weekend of NFL action. Stay safe. Do what you can. Protect yourself in any activity that you do. And I'll get the recap video for this on Tuesday after Monday night's action. And just let me know what other games you're looking forward to. Are your Super Bowl picks still in? Like I said, mine are Green Bay and Kansas City. So I'm still pretty good in those 2 aspects. Didn't look good in the earlier season, but they look good now. Just let me know in the comments below while you're there. You can smash that thumbs up for me, especially love the content, especially let me talk outside my mouth, give you my 2 cents of the NFL and the NFL actions. And while you're there, you also subscribe. Once you subscribe, you hit that bell notification until next time you post a video. And I'll see you all next time on Chat Sports Talk.